reviewing all of those records, do you have an opinion as to the cause of death of Mr. Shakur?
Yes.
And what is that?
He died of gunshot wounds of chest and abdomen.
And do you have an opinion as to the manner of death?
Yes.
And what is that?
An autopsy photo fills the courtroom screen, and Tupac Shakur's family instantly stands up and walks out. What the jury saw inside that Clark County courtroom was total devastation. 2 liters of blood filled his chest cavity after a bullet ripped beneath his armpit, sliced through his right lung, and lodged into his collarbone.
His ability to breathe and those types of things.
The injury to the lung would have collapsed the lung and also caused the lung to bleed. And so it was documented within the medical records that he had about 2 liters of blood in his chest cavity when they put in the chest tube to try to save him. And similarly, they ended up removing that lung to try to save him and kind of clamp off the bleeding. And then it already had multiple episodes of not becoming responsive, so he wasn't able to breathe. He was bleeding out in that area from.
Another bullet torn straight through his thigh into his abdomen.
Go ahead.
That bullet entered in the lateral aspect of the right thigh and then went upwards into the abdomen and damaged his intestines. They ended up operating there and removed a portion of his intestines, and then during that surgery they recovered another projectile.
The medical examiner confirmed what we all knew this whole time. This was a homicide. But the doctor testifying wasn't even the original medical professional from 1996. The state brought in a replacement to read off 30-year-old notes and pointed a couple of cheap Polaroids.
No, but we only took a few photos at the time of autopsy. At that time, they used Polaroids or they used film and cameras. And so we had few photos of the body itself. And so consequently, the crime scene analyst photos were helpful for being able to come to determination in addition to the reports.
And look, this wasn't an accident. Not an accident at all. The system wanted these files to stay cold. You already know what I'm about to say next. When Washington politicians and corporate media want a high-profile story to disappear, they let files gather dust in some forgotten basement while hard-working Americans foot the bill. For nearly 3 decades, local law enforcement told the public they were doing everything they could. But you know, just like I know, the truth was sitting in their own file cabinets the whole time. Now they drag out Dwayne Keffy D. Davis and act like justice is finally being delivered. Actually, let me rephrase that, because it isn't a victory at all. It's a massive confession of institutional rot. They're showing us 30 years of botched investigative work and calling it progress. Why did it take almost 30 years to bring these files into the light? Now here's where it gets interesting. Hours before the fatal shooting at the MGM Grand, Tupac's entourage got into a brawl with Orlando Anderson. Police arrived almost immediately, but Sergeant Kenneth Rios didn't take a written report, secure the area, or request surveillance tapes.
Anderson.
I asked him first if he needed medical assistance, and he refused. He said he was fine. I then asked him what happened, and he told me basically that a couple of guys that he didn't know jumped him. And once again, I asked him if he needed medical. He said no. I asked if he wanted to file a report, and he said no.
At that point, was he released and free to go?
He just let Anderson walk free. No victim, no crime.
Charges or write a report for you not to have written a report that night?
No, it's not. Basically, if you don't have a victim, you don't have a crime, as we put it, which isn't necessarily true. You always have a crime. But if you don't have a victim, the chances of prosecution, you won't get any information, and so we don't take a report if the victim refuses.
That was their convenient excuse. Hours later, gunshots rang out on Flamingo Road.
Do you see any of them armed?
One gentleman was armed, one black male adult, very young, well-dressed. He was wearing a very bright white 3/4 sleeve shirt, black pants, and a black dress vest.
And at the time that you see him, Is he firing his weapon?
No, he's not. But he does have the weapon in his hand. It was an automatic weapon, automatic pistol.
Semi-automatic pistol?
Yes.
And is he holding it down? Is he pointing it?
A security guard at the Maxim Hotel heard 15 shots and saw a caravan of suspicious vehicles making a U-turn, including a young man holding a semi-automatic handgun.
The two officers, another security officer and I were standing around one Dodge Caravan, and we just suddenly heard a lot of gunfire. And we ran to the barrier wall that was overlooking Koval Boulevard, not Koval, Flamingo Boulevard. And that's when I witnessed what I saw.
So you hear a bunch of shots. Do you have any idea how many you heard?
It sounded like a lot.
One volley, two volleys?
3 volleys.
3 volleys.
Yes.
You heard. And when you say a lot, I mean, to some people, can you
It
put
was-
any sort of number on it?
I had 3 to 4, maybe even 5 each volley. It was a series of pops,
Somewhere between 9 and 15 shots in a series.
something like that.
He pointed Las Vegas Metro police officers straight toward the fleeing
They
vehicles.
deduced that.
Right. They asked me what direction they were going. They rolled down their windows and were asking me what direction everybody went, and so I pointed to make a right and head towards Las Vegas Boulevard.
And those officers then went after the caravan.
Correct.
So what did those officers do? Well, you'll see. They didn't even write a basic report that night. They handed off responsibility and let crucial hours slip away while suspects vanished. And when prosecutors brought in MGM investigator Michael Ingram to show casino surveillance footage, the truth got even worse. The footage came from old VHS tapes that had been recorded over and degraded until images were unreadable.
Surveillance footage from this alleged beating. The video, which was captured on VHS tapes that were reused and degraded over time, showed or seemingly showed the confrontation between Tupac's entourage and Orlando Anderson in the elevator core of the MGM Grand. Personally, I have been there so many times. I used to go to Vegas all the time. I used to stand by that elevator bank all the time. I know it very well. Now, Ingram walked the jury through that footage, showing Anderson allegedly being attacked.
Think about how convenient that is for corrupt officials. The police didn't collect footage properly, officers didn't write reports, photos were limited to Polaroids, and the primary suspect was let go. If you or I ran an operation with that level of gross negligence, we'd be fired. But when deep state actors and law enforcement screw up this badly, they get protected. I need you to stay with me here, because this goes way beyond a single murder trial. To be completely honest with you, looking at these court records makes me deeply worried. We work hard, pay taxes, and teach our kids to trust the law. But then you look at federal law enforcement and see the exact same pattern of protected elites, silenced witnesses, and covered-up mistakes.
So to me, this is consistent with the defense's argument, which we heard in an opening statement yesterday, that this whole investigation was sloppy, that it was botched, that it was incomplete, that you're talking about a case almost 30 years old. So trying to raise reasonable doubt, trying to raise questions about the reliability of the prosecution's case, the investigative work. And if jurors are perhaps hesitant about one aspect of the prosecution's case or the investigation, perhaps they will not believe the whole case, the whole theory, the whole narrative. Maybe they'll question it.
The corrupt elite culture relies on corporate media to distract us while real justice is sold out. They bury vital files, lose key tapes, and pretend it was an oversight. They want you focused on court drama so you don't ask the bigger questions. How many other crime scene files were blacklisted or lost on purpose? Why does the system protect certain connected figures while ordinary American families are left without justice? Awake Americans don't forget. We see the pattern clearly now. When local authorities cover up evidence and corporate news protects them, the moral foundation of our nation breaks down. They spend billions of taxpayer money running distraction campaigns, while the real story remains buried inside locked vaults. So I'm asking you directly right now, Do you believe Las Vegas police genuinely botched this investigation for 30 years? Or were key evidence files deliberately buried to protect someone higher up? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because Washington will never give us an honest answer. But as awake Americans, we must demand justice together.